Football mourns the loss of one of the very best. Jimmy Greaves was perhaps England's greatest goalscorer, loved by players and fans alike.
He was always in the right place at the right time, and it worked.
But he was also just a personality, and there aren't many of them around anymore.
Also ahead, ministers insist our gas supplies are safe, but urgent talks with providers continue as prices soar. The Prime Minister flies to New York to drum up support for his climate change plans. And what laughs he brought us, tributes to the Only Fools and Horses actor John Challis, who's passed away at 79.
This is ITV News with Geraint, Vincent.
Good evening. At the very highest level of football in this country, no one scored more goals than Jimmy Greaves. His achievement was extraordinary and the records he set remain unbroken. But the story of his life contains highs and lows which are harder to measure. Fellow players considered Greaves the best of his generation, yet he had to watch from the sidelines as his England teammates won the World Cup without him. And off the pitch, he reached rock bottom through alcohol abuse and bankruptcy. But he recovered and went on to become one of the country's most popular TV presenters. Our sports editor, Steve Scott, reports.
Remembering a football hero ahead of a match between the two clubs he dedicated most of his career to. England and Spurs captain Harry Kane paid his own tribute today, describing Greaves as a true legend. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, said he was one of the greats of English football.
And in 3 minutes, Greaves had put them one up.
Jimmy Greaves was a phenomenal goalscorer for both club and country, and in retirement, a larger-than-life character who burst onto the small screen.
Oh, we're a lucky team.
There's Jimmy Greaves.
As a player, his strike rate was unparalleled, particularly for England.
Greaves scored again.
He scored 44 times in 57 games, a better ratio than anyone before or since.
He was definitely the best goal scorer, but he was also just a personality, and there aren't many of them around anymore.
He just used to glide through, not a problem.
He was always in the right place at the right time, and it worked.
He was part of England's 1966 World Cup winning squad, but was injured in the last group game. Geoff Hurst took his place, and despite being fit for the final, Greaves wasn't selected, and his one-time understudy scored a hat-trick. Greaves didn't even get a winner's medal until the rules were changed in 2009, and he was handed one at Downing Street. For clubs Chelsea, AC Milan and Tottenham, his scoring record was prolific too. In Spurs colours, he won the FA Cup twice and the European Cup Winners' Cup.
Greaves, there it is!
He ended his top-flight career with one season at West Ham United, after which he fought a well-publicised battle with alcoholism.
Good afternoon from Wembley, from Greaves and I.
A magical TV partnership with former Liverpool player Ian St John propelled Greaves to even greater stardom and a whole new audience. He was a natural in the studio, king of the one-liners who never took himself too seriously.
Jimmy Greaves.
In 2015, Greaves suffered a serious stroke, and though he never fully recovered, when he was recognised with an MBE this year, his family said he shed tears of pride. There will be many tears today too, for a man who meant so much to so many.
Jimmy Greaves, who has died at the age of 81. The Business Secretary has held a series of urgent talks over concerns about soaring energy prices. The boss of one of the country's biggest carbon dioxide providers has flown in from America to explain why the costs have led his company to close down its plant. As Harry Horton explains, that could disrupt essential supplies to supermarkets and even hospitals.
It's used in hospitals for some surgeries. In food, it's needed to stun livestock. In drinks, it adds the fizz. And it's essential to freeze and package groceries. But now a rise in gas prices has led to a shortage of CO2. with potentially far-reaching consequences. This morning, the government urged calm.
We're not being complacent about this at all, but I think the clear message that I want to give to people is that we do not see risks of supplies right now, and prices are being protected.
UK gas prices have rocketed this year, up more than 300% in the past 6 months. It's prompted the shutdown of 2 fertiliser plants in England, which produce around 60% of the UK's CO2 as a byproduct. One supermarket chain told ITV News it could lead to food shortages within days.
Well, this couldn't really have happened at a worse time because we've already got a lot of problems in the supply chain which are well documented around drivers and distribution. So adding a problem as key as this is a key part of the food production system. It just further complicates it.
The business secretary met with one major CO2 firm today and tonight warned of the pressures facing small energy suppliers.
We're expecting to see some small suppliers get really squeezed by this high price, and therefore there may be some supplier failures. We've already had some this year. So that's where the focus of discussions is, how we make sure the retail sector is sustainable, but also, most importantly, how we make sure customers are supported if their supplier goes bust.
Tomorrow, ministers will hold more talks with the energy industry, seeking to avoid this price increase turning into a much wider crisis. Harry Horton, ITV News.
The Prime Minister is about to touch down in New York for his first foreign trip since the pandemic began. Tomorrow, he's speaking at the United Nations, and later in the week, he'll meet President Biden. Well, our US correspondent, Emma Murphy, is in New York. Emma, what is Mr. Johnson hoping to achieve in America?
Mr. Johnson is hoping to gather support for his climate policies for international relations, and also to try and encourage other politicians to really deliver on the promises they make with regard to climate change. He's going to host a meeting here tomorrow morning that's going to be looking specifically at climate. He will then go on to the White House, where he'll meet with President Biden in a one-on-one meeting. It's thought that climate and COVID will be top of the agenda there, as well as a discussion about US borders. The British are very, very keen to try and get travel between the US and America opened again, because economically it's so important. Now, this event is going to be a slimmed down version of what we normally see from the UNGA, but a rather larger version than we saw last year because of COVID. President Biden hoped that this could continue to be a virtual event, fearful it might turn into some kind of super spreader occasion, but he's been overruled, and delegations from over 100 countries are arriving here in New York this evening.
Emma Murphy, many thanks. And the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, walked the cobbles of Coronation Street today. She's been in Britain for a conference of speakers from the G7 nations. They toured the set of the show and got to meet some of the cast members too. And a volcano has erupted on the Spanish Canary island of La Palma. Around 1,000 people have been forced to leave their homes as some lava flows are creeping closer to them. The last eruption on the island was 50 years ago. The first all-amateur space mission has landed safely back on Earth. The SpaceX capsule splashed down in the Atlantic last night after 3 days circling the planet, which raised a lot of money for charity. The SpaceX founder, Elon Musk, welcomed them home with a donation of $50 million. Sam Holder was watching.
They had boldly gone where no amateur crew had gone before, spending 3 days in space, circling the globe without a professional astronaut on board. Launched by Elon Musk's SpaceX, the entire voyage was fully automated.
Are secure, restraints are tightened, visors are down.
Re-entering with temperatures outside reaching nearly 2,000 degrees Celsius. A giant leap for space travel, ending with a gentle splash in the Atlantic. While in orbit, there were experiments to test the impact of space on non-professionals and a few breathtaking views.
This is the largest window ever flown in space. We can put our head in and fit multiple crew members and see the entire perimeter of the Earth.
The crew were paid for and selected by billionaire Jared Isaacman, likely costing many, many millions. It may still be prohibitively expensive, but the success of this mission is a milestone in space tourism. The trip was also a fundraising mission. The crew hoping to inspire donations to the St Jude Children's Research Hospital, a place that means a lot to one of the crew. First back on terra firma, medical officer Hayley Arsenault. As a child, she had bone cancer. Her treatment at St Jude inspired her to work at the hospital.
Lots of waves, thumbs up.
She becomes the first astronaut ever with a prosthetic limb. A poignant end to a remarkable moment in the history of space exploration. Sam Holder, ITV News.
And finally tonight, we remember a man whose comic abilities were so great, he made us laugh by laughing himself. John Challis was best known as Boise in Only Fools and Horses, the car trader whose sneering chuckle put Del Boy in his place. Well, sometimes. Today, his family announced that he died peacefully, aged 79, after a long battle with cancer. Martha Fairley looks back.
As cigar-smoking Boise, John Challis became the nation's favourite second-hand car dealer.
I am here.
For more than 20 years, he played Terence Aubrey Boyce in Only Fools and Horses.
You never said your name was Aubrey. Nor would you if your name was Aubrey.
Taunting Del Boy with his ostentatious ways and his mocking laugh.
All right, Boise, we've decided you can stay.
Sir David Jason, who'd known him for over 40 years, described him today as a dear friend, a wonderful actor and a gentleman in the true sense of the word.
Come on, kiss him goodbye.
Yeah, bye, Del. See you soon.
For God's sake, the dog, Marlene.
While Sue Holderness, who played his on-screen wife Marlene, paid tribute, saying, "Marlene without Boise, it's unthinkable. John Challis was my partner on screen and stage for 36 years and my beloved friend. R.I.P. darling John, I will miss you every day."
I beg your pardon?
In 2015, he joined the ITV sitcom Benidorm, playing Monty Staines, and recently became an honorary citizen of Serbia, where Only Fools and Horses is still a big hit.
It's called the Trotter Brothers trying to park a three-wheel van.
His family said he always loved being Boise, and his great legacy of work will bring pleasure and smiles for many years to come.
Remembering the actor John Challis. And that's all from us for tonight. There's more on our website, itv.com/news. From everyone on the Weekend team, good night.